Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the final Daily Dabble, the Sunday Daily. This took me over a week to put together. Initially there was 2 dailies, but the video was over 2 hours long, so I dropped the other one out. Any references to that are obviously wrong, so do your best to ignore them. First we'll be playing the AB daily, and then we'll be moving on to the section where I talk about the dailies at great length. If you want to skip ahead, you can find the timestamps in the description, but without further ado, let's get started. Right, first off, the AB daily. We're playing as the Lost, and you can see my daily run option is faded out. And that's because on the actual run, this happened. Yep, died to Dingle on the 2nd floor. Not my greatest moment, to be sure. But I'll owe up to my mistake, and I took the score. You could actually nullify this score, but we'll talk about that at the end of this video. Thankfully, the game lets you do a practice run of any dailies you either failed or you cleared, so we're gonna do that. I want to show off the Lost. It's a rather good way to end things on a daily, because I really like the Lost as a character. So starting with the character himself, you'll see he has no health bar. He has no health to speak of. You take 1 hit and you die. Thankfully, he also starts with the Holy Mantle, which allows you to take 1 hit per room, and it resets after that. But once that invincibility is gone, you really gotta be careful. And that's what makes the Lost an interesting character. It used to be he didn't start with the Holy Mantle, so you couldn't take a single hit. And more to the point, you can see the Holy Mantle proc right there. Now, if I take 1 more hit after that, I'm gonna die. So, it used to be he didn't start with the Holy Mantle. He also didn't used to have spectral tears that go through rocks. So, even though you had flight and you could go inside rocks to avoid enemies, you couldn't shoot through them. So, that was a rather bad time, I gotta say, if you wanted to clear everything with the Lost. But, yeah, here we are. We also start with the D4. That's the spacebar item. If you use that, it rerolls all your items. And that includes the Holy Mantle, so I don't want to use it, and instead, on just about every Lost run that I do, I just get rid of it as quickly as I can. Switch it over to something else, because I really want to hold on to the mantle. It's a lifesaver. For one thing, it gives you that 1 extra hit you can take, but on the other, you can also enter through curse room doors. If you don't have it, on your way out, you're gonna die. So it's pretty clear that you want to hold on to it. Now, not everyone does that. You can get some incredibly powerful combinations if you just keep re-rolling your character, but you can also get some really crappy ones that just get you killed immediately. So that's why I opt not to use it ever. Okay, fun fact, that's actually the room I died in on the actual daily. Dodged into a dingle bullet like a champ. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. Now, talking about Sunday dailies, every Sunday is Mega Satan Sunday. That means we're going all the way to the final boss of the game. And these offer you the best chances to get an incredibly good score. Killing Mega Satan gives you a bonus of 6,666 points. Now put that together with the rush bonuses, the exploration bonuses, and what have you, and you can pretty much get the greatest scores on these particular dailies. Use the tower card there just to try to open the secret room. Oh. I also tried to lure that guy next to the secret room on top of this room. That didn't pan out too great. So yeah, it's not uncommon to see scores of 60,000 and above on Sundays. Usually it involves breaking the game though, so probably we won't be seeing that here. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it eventually. That's a health item. We really don't need that. On the other hand, this is another really cool feature of the Lost. All devil deals are free. So clearly we're going for those. I picked up Guppy's hairball just for the Guppy effect. And I took black powder. We'll see what it does in a little while. Right now though, I'm gonna take revenge on this room. You're not gonna get me a second time. Trying to spin the circle, but I'm not quite fast enough. Well, gotta make it smaller. There we go. So that pentagram thing, that deals damage to any enemies that are on top of it. Unless they have flight, like this guy. Alright, let's take care of him the easy way. And then of course we have Dingle. You're not gonna get me this time. I don't usually use the black powder. It just kind of throws me off and it doesn't help. Can't use it right now, it's next to a wall. It doesn't help that much, but whenever you can do it, well, obviously it's a little bit of help. Oh, and by the way, I switched the D4 over to the Book of Secrets. Whenever you use it, it either works as a map, a compass, or a blue map. So it shows you the layout of the floor, or the rooms on the floor, or the secrets, respectively. I took Sackhead, so this should probably end up as a breaking run of sorts. We're gonna find a lot of batteries, so if we can find a way to multiply those, well, we'll see. Okay, we got the blue map effect, so now we know where the secrets are. Gotta be careful in curse rooms. If you take one hit, you can't exit the room without dying. Or without taking a hit, anyway. Yep, I kinda saw that coming. I don't... Yeah, you know what, let's do it. Got one makes you small, and answers, and a Guppy's tail, that's the second Guppy piece. Just need the one. Alright, let's just touch that for the mom transformation. And speed things along again. Alright, let's crack this thing open. Got quite a few bags. And in the secret room, many of the coins there are also replaced by sacks. That's how Sackhead works, essentially. It doesn't create additional sacks, it just sometimes changes some pickups into sacks. I definitely want this pair throw. And then I'll just do a quick sweep of the floor, get what I missed on my first time around, and head on back to the boss, which is Frail. Kill him, use the black powder for that, and get a devil room which holds the Krampus and kill him too. Just speeding all this up because there's really nothing new to see here. Thankfully we got the lump of coal from Krampus, that's really gonna help us a lot. Come to think of it, that's actually the first kind of damage up that we have. And I really need to find some more if I want to make it in time to the boss rush, let alone survive it. Since, yeah, as you may have imagined, with the Lost, the boss rush is kind of terrifying. Okay, let's bundle these three beauties together, see what we get. I find that the biggest problem with the Sackhead is that you spend so much time picking up all this stuff, juggling between cards and pills and runes that they drop, that you may not make it in time for the boss rush, so there's that. Well, it's a really good item. It can kind of screw you over too. And look at the timer right now, we're already at 13 minutes, that's way, way above than what I'd like it to be. And yet, here I am, picking stuff up, like I'm in no hurry at all. Oh, sweet. That is exactly what I need right now. Little Chad gives us hard drops. I don't have any containers to put him in, so no reason to take him. Oh, joy. Now I'm never gonna make it in time. I think the super secret room was on the top right corner of the map, so I should be heading there. Of course, I could be completely wrong, and it might not even mean that the boss is there, but it's the best bet I have. Yeah, right, that's not happening. So after that I just sort of bumbled around hopelessly, picked up deep pockets to have 2 card slots, and at this point I was hopelessly lost. I found Stigmata, which gave me a damage up, and then I just continued just basically hoping I would come across the boss room somehow. And ultimately, weirdly enough, I did. This guy gave me a scare. I immediately popped the Empress card to give me a little bit of extra stats. Because, well, I've already discussed Brownie, I think. He's one of the nastiest bosses in the game, one of the more difficult ones to avoid. But, surprisingly enough, I didn't take a single hit. My reward? The third guppy piece, and Judas's Shadow. So, at this point, I was pretty sure I was gonna make the boss rush. Thanks to Guppy. Now, any player of the dailies will tell you, if you find Judas's Shadow, get rid of what you have. Kill your current character, revive as Dark Judas, you get a really good damage boost. And I would have done that. I definitely would have done that if it were a normal daily, if I wasn't recording this, but you know what? I thought, hell, I'm gonna see just how far I can get with the Lost. I'm gonna see if I can beat the boss rush with this guy. And the inherent risk there is, even if I do have the extra life, and the daily is not over if I die in that room, I also can't finish it. So I'll be losing that 4444 bonus if I take 2 hits in that room. But I was feeling confident, you know, I had pretty good damage, I had Guppy, and surely the game just gave me a sign that I was to finish the game as the Lost, because it seemed hopeless for me to make the boss rush with this character, and yet here I am, in the mom fight, with plenty of time, and I took that as a sign. What could possibly go wrong, right? So, you know, I don't want either of those items. Not really. My tier rate is not good enough for the shielded tiers, and the health up does me no good. So I'm just gonna blow up all these barrels just to be on the safe side. Even though I'm the destroyer of worlds now, I don't want to take any extra chances. And we got garbage. And that's a wasted pair throw right there. So at this point, what I needed to do was clear the room without taking 2 hits. And in my experience, it makes it more stressful, obviously, but at the same time it kind of pushes you towards that goal. So you're also playing a little better than you normally would. In this particular rush, my obvious disadvantage was my speed. There are bosses that are fast that can leap at you really quickly, so I'd have to keep my distance, but if I had to make a rush for some boss, for whatever reason, that would be my downfall. That's what I was thinking at this point. See? That could have killed me right there, or at the very least, it would have taken away my mantle. Which brings about another question. Why am I not in the windowed mode, where I can actually see what's going on in the arena? I don't know. I have no answer to that. Frail plus Monstro is obviously bad news. Their patterns are kind of bad together. The other one jumps around from underground, the other one can jump out of sight. I have to keep track of them both, but surprisingly enough, no damage taken. Alright, the enemy on the left, the carrion queen. You hear that noise? She just took a poop on the ground. A couple of them. I was too busy with the cage here. Wanted to get that out of the way because he's a real nasty boss. But now I had all this poop lying around. That would hurt me if I touch it. So I pretty much made the biggest mistake of the fight right there. When I should have killed this guy, I was concentrating on the wrong enemy. On the other hand, had I not killed him, he could have jumped right on top of me and brought about an attack that I have difficulty avoiding at any given time. So, yeah, it was really a toss-up right there. And Dingle got me again. Took my mantle away. That was not a difficult attack to avoid. I don't know how I took damage there, but I did. So at this point, I was getting pretty stressed out. And what happened after was even worse. The game throws me death and brownie at the same time. So I have these sights to avoid, I don't know where they're coming from. And I have brownie and his little turds to deal with. And I'm backing right onto the side of the screen where the red poops are. And oddly enough, I survive. And things get even more hairy, as I have a burrower enemy. I don't know where he is. He could appear right under me and kill me just by spawning there. So I was being extra careful until I figured, yeah, I'm gonna hide here next to this rock. And surely enough, I got him. Now, unfortunately, after that, this happened. Yeah, there goes our rush bonus. There goes 5 minutes down the drain. And I had to go back and count. And that indeed was the last wave. And to blow it like that, well, let's just not talk about that ever again. Okay? So clearly, at this point, what's important is to make the Hush fight, at least. Certainly plenty of people screwed up, just like I did. And certainly a lot of people got rid of the Lost, entered the fight with Dark Judas, and didn't have the restrictions I had, just because I wanted to show that off. So, we'll keep on moving. We'll make the Hush fight, and we'll make the best of this run.
Judgment.
Something that dawned on me at this very moment, while recording the commentary here, was that I have the glowing armor class. And I completely forgot about that. That item will take you to the previous room, reset everything that happened there. So, what I'm wondering is, would that have taken me back to the boss rush room and allowed me to redo it? Because that might have been possible. Oh well, I think it's best just not to think about it. But if you have the answer to that, please let me know. I'm actually interested. Nice. Okay, at least the game rewards me with some goodies. And with 2.5 minutes to go, with this kind of a character, I think we're pretty much on the safe side in terms of making the Hush fight. That's the glowing hourglass. I don't know why I used it, so don't ask me. So nothing really interesting happened after that. I did find a Head of the Keeper item a little bit after this, but we'll just speed up through the floor because that's the only really important event that happened here. And like I said, we made the Hush fight with some time to spare. So I went back and opened this chest just because why not? And down we go. First things first, check out the store. There's the compass. And some health. That's junk. And that is pretty much junk as well. Goat head is a bit too late to the party here. It's not gonna have an effect from this point onwards, so we're not picking that up. I guess all that's left to do is to try and locate a staircase and possibly a black market. Oh, there it is. 3 coins. May as well. And that's all there is, so let's go kill Hush, and we'll do it in speed up. Really, the only interesting thing happening here is what's going on with the Head of the Keeper. Like I said before, the sack head sometimes changes pickups into sacks. So instead of our bullets turning into coins, they actually turn into sacks. Just pick up the rest of this stuff, and I think that's it. In Sheol, absolutely nothing of interest happened, so... And on we go, to the final floor, and finally see the final boss of the game, if you don't take Delirium into account. And there it is, the Mega Satan door. We were carrying that key around for us all this time, and that's what we had it for. Of course, we're not going to go in there just yet. Still gotta explore the rest of the floor. See if we can find something that helps us. And the Steam sale will not. I think I mentioned it in another daily, but exploring the dark room can be dangerous. There are certain types of rooms that have really difficult setups. Like having two adversaries in the same room. For instance, if they both throw their curved brims towards you at different times, it can be extremely difficult to avoid. Thankfully, Dark Judas with our stats right now is so good, I really don't think we'll have to worry about anything coming our way. Now, I could speed up the rest of this floor pretty much entirely, but this being the final daily, and us having such a powerful character, I'd rather just show just how smooth things can be, even this late in the game. This of course applies to single player as well, but I think this is something worth seeing. I have a feeling I'll be speeding up a lot of the AB Plus daily, just because this video is so ludicrously long. But this, I think, is still worth watching. Neither of those items will actually do us any good. We'll just give him a white berth. Another Joker card. Just take the blank rune instead. It could be anything. I'll hold on to it. Just checking my tier rate, that would increase it, but it would decrease my range. And speaking of double adversaries, well, here it is, and as you can see, no problem whatsoever. They're just dead. The backtracking I may as well speed up, I think. Here's another room that, with a subpar character, would give you a lot of trouble. Having 4 Fallens following you, some of them firing at you, would be really difficult to avoid taking any hits, but like I said, we don't have to worry. Well, I think I'll take that. I didn't actually consider the fun guy transformation, but that'll come in handy. I was mainly going in for the speed up, since that's pretty much the only stat we really need to increase at this point. One final check here. Pop the blank rune. Pop it another time. And drop that while I'm at it. 2 Answers. That didn't help. I dropped the other card just in case it would give me a Yera effect. I could get 2 of Spades cards. Well, I didn't, so here we go. Mega Satan is a multi-phase fight. And this is his first phase. He has a number of attacks, and after you take him down to a certain amount of health, he spawns the horsemen to help him. So we get these guys out of the way, and he's gonna come back up. Now, you normally would see him attack before he spawns his next batch of followers. But yeah, like I said, we are so powerful right now. He can't really do anything about it. So, since I'm here, and since this is a practice run, may as well show what he does when he has his arms intact. He has a number of different kind of bullet attacks, number of different attacks with his hands. Most of it is not too difficult. And yeah, man, I just missed that. He would have shot a really big brimstone at us right there, but I brought him down before he could do that. So once you kill this guy, that's not quite it. He still emerges as his second form. Some of his attacks are really easy to avoid, like this one. Some of them are extremely difficult, and just trying to kill him with the Guppy's hairball here, for good measure, didn't quite work. But down he goes, crumbles into dust, and we are done. Pick up the last few remaining items, and there we go. You can see the Mega Satan bonus right there. And of course we didn't get the rush bonus for the boss rush since we didn't beat it. So we missed out on 4,000 points and then some. Would have been over 50k, which I'm usually happy with if I'm playing a Mega Satan daily. But as I said, you can get 60k and above. I've gotten 60k 3 times, I think. And those are a real rarity. For one, they require you to beat the game without taking too much damage, and they require you to get a lot of swag, but we'll talk about that a little later. Alright, time to dive into the mechanics of the dailies. If you don't want to watch this, you're better off turning the video off right now. This section is long and boring. First, let's bring back the scorecard. There. And let's go through it step by step. Starting with the stage bonus. This is the most self-explanatory bonus of all. If you reach a certain floor, you get a certain fixed amount of points. If you reach basement 2, you get 1,000 points. If you die there, your card will say 1,000 stage bonus. Let's say that the daily goes to Mom's Foot and you can't find a way past that. Reaching Depths 2 will give you a 10,000 stage bonus. So if you don't find your way past that, that's what you get. However, if you do find some way of getting down to Womb 1, like a shovel and an AWAS rune, or some other means of getting past Depths 2, it immediately goes up to 13,000. So while the stage bonus in itself is a rather fair bonus, you get a certain fixed amount based on how far you get, sometimes you can get further than the daily would normally go. And that's where breaking comes into play, and that's why people try to get past the goal if it ends either on Mom's Foot or Mom's Heart. So they try to find a way to get past that, to get to Shield, to get to Dark Room for those extra points. And there are several ways of doing that. If you have a D6, you can try to reroll Devil Deals into a shovel, or you can abuse the certain room types to create a shovel in there. Say, for example, the secret room. Sometimes secret rooms have shovels in them. The secret room has a certain item pool and certain items assigned to it. So you create a whole bunch of items or treasures inside the dark room, and you find a way to reroll them. If you can find an infinite reroll chance, like producing batteries ad infinitum, you can reroll them as many times as you want. And ultimately you will find a shovel, and you can get past that point. So why is this a problem? It's a problem because the game intends you to end the daily on a certain floor that you reach. If the daily says go to mom's foot, it's supposed to end on mom's foot. You're not supposed to give people the chance to get past that point. So you may ask, why is this a problem? Everyone gets the same chance to get further below, right? It's just whether they choose to or not. Well, no, that's not strictly true. Because the item pools change depending on where you pick stuff up. Here's an example. You go to the Devil Room on basement 2. You haven't taken a single red heart's worth of damage. So you open the Devil Room and you find a shovel inside. Well, great. This daily was all the way to the foot, so now you have a way of going past that. Well, how about if you don't get to the Devil Room? Well, at this point you may say, well, that's your own fault. You didn't get to the Devil Room. You played too badly. Well, here's where the random element kicks in. If you don't get to the first Devil Room, and let's say that in this example that I'm talking about right now, the first Devil Room has a Dark Bomb and the Void. And you get to the second Devil Room, and there's, say, Brother Bobby and Sister Maggie. But for someone who didn't make the first Devil Deal, because they either took damage or they went inside it by other means, that is, through a red chest or a Joker card, they get a different set of items. And this dictates what the following items in Devil Rooms will be. So sometimes the game will award a player for playing badly, and there is no way of telling what the items are going to be. So you're basically working on a completely randomized set of items every time you enter a Devil Room, unless you already know by either playing it beforehand on another account or by reading about the daily on the subreddit. So how do we fix this? How do we fix something like this? It's really simple, actually. You just go to the goal that is dictated at the start of the run. You either remove any possibility to move past that point by removing all Ewas runes, removing every possibility of a shovel ever turning up, or you just make them not work. They just don't work past the point they're not supposed to. By doing this, you remove the random element and you remove the breaking element. And people on the whole do not like breaking this game on daily runs. But I'll get to that a little bit later. That brings us to exploration. It's basically just points given for visiting certain rooms or clearing them and for killing the enemies inside them. Europa has actually derived a formula that you can see here, and if you want to read up very specific bonuses, you can also go check out this site. It's also in the description if you're interested. I will not go into great detail, but basically certain types of rooms give you certain types of bonuses, so you want to prioritize where you're gonna go if you're in a hurry, because you always want to explore as much as you can, but you also want to make it to both the boss rush and the hush fight, if you have the opportunity to. So, is there a problem with this? Well, not exactly. It is a toss-up between exploring and trying to make it to the rushes. So basically that comes down to the player being able to tell whether he's powerful enough or not. Whether he should keep exploring or if he should just keep pushing forward. The only problem that you can actually derive out of this is the same as the one with the stage bonus. If you can make it past the intended goal, you immediately also get more exploration than the other players. So by removing that element I talked about with the stage bonus, you also fix this problem. There's actually nothing else I can think about to say on this topic. Rush bonuses are, as I've explained before, 4444 for beating the boss rush and 5555 for beating Hush. Naturally, you're gonna want to reach those points in the game before the time limit runs out. So you have to make a decision whether to keep exploring a floor or to find the rush in time. So, what's the problem? Well, simply put, this item right here, Mama Mega. Upon use, Mama Mega will keep blowing up every room, killing the enemies, destroying rocks, opening secret rooms, and also it opens up the boss rush room even though you've passed the time limit. So by knowing the game mechanics inside out, you can abuse that and use it to your advantage and actually waste all the time you want to keep exploring every floor and then just locate Mama Mega, because there are several ways of doing it. Several ways of re-rolling store items, for instance, where you can find the Mama Mega item. This removes the toss-up element between exploration and making it to the rush. And that's a problem. It should not work that way. It should be either or. You should reward the player for making it in time, not knowing the game mechanics inside out, and using that to their advantage. That's really the only problem with the rush bonus. By removing Mama Mega from the daily pool, you would completely remove this problem, and people would either have to explore or they would have to go for the rushes. Or if they're powerful enough, they could do both. Damage penalty is complicated. Here's the equation for it, taken from Europa, naturally. Basically, the more you explore, the more weight the damage penalty gets. So if you only explore one room and you take one hit, you only get one damage penalty. But if you go through the entire game, that same one hit will be given a multiplier, and your damage penalty goes up. So the gist of it is, don't get hit. Naturally, that's as simple as it gets. This is the one penalty besides time that is actually fair for all players equally. It has to do with skill, whether you take a hit or not. You cannot negate that. You take a hit or you don't. It is as simple as that. Furthermore, if you're scared about taking hits, you have to know whether it's worth exploring a floor when you know you're at risk of taking a hit. That comes from knowledge of the game, but it doesn't change the fact that taking damage is equally the same for every player, and it has to do with skill, not abusing the game mechanics. Time penalty is really self-explanatory. The more time you take, the bigger your time penalty. To put it wrongly, the time penalty starts at minus 1.6 points per every second you spend in the daily, and it goes gradually up. That's not strictly true, but if you want to go into further details, then go onto this webpage and check out Europa's thread on the whole thing, because he explains it way better than I ever could, or more than I can understand it. This is another fair penalty, I think. The more time you spend twiddling your thumbs, the more time penalty you get. Of course, certain people can also find their way through the game faster than others just because they took the right turn, but that is something you really can't do anything about in the scope of the game. That's simply how the game is. So I wouldn't call that a flaw. Really, I don't think there is any way the time penalty could be altered by itself to actually make the dailies better. But we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the swag bonus. The item penalty is rather simple. You pick up a treasure and you get a penalty for it. So the less items you take, the more the game rewards you for it. Or, to put it another way, the less it penalizes you for doing that. That's why, if you already have a great set of items, you really don't want to pick up anything else, just because you don't need to. It doesn't help you, but it gives you a bigger penalty. So if you're already on your way to a certain victory, and there's no item that will help you towards that goal, then you're best off not picking up anything anymore. Of course, it's a little bit more convoluted than that, so if you want to read up more on it, check out the description for the link. And oh boy, that brings us to the big one. The swag bonus. This has got to be the stupidest crap in a video game. In essence, it's this. What you're looking at here is a daily on Saturday where I have a Gira, a blank card, and I have 2 adjacent rooms, one with a battery and one with coins and bombs. I could use the blank card to multiply the batteries and get infinite recharges on my blank card. And what you want to be looking at here is the score on the top of the screen. Every time I pick up something, it gives me a little bonus. And all I had to do to get to this was simply to manipulate the game in a way that gives me these specific items. It's not very difficult, and this is just one of many examples. You could also try to get your hands on a 1+1 and the char. You could multiply any hearts you find, and keep collecting them off the floor, just pressing spacebar or whatever button you have assigned on your controller. Keep picking up those hearts, and every time you do, it gives you a bonus for it. There's no thought process. There's no skill involved. All you need to do is know the game mechanics inside out and abuse them to bits. The swag bonus caps at about 16 to 17,000 points, and at some point it stops giving you points, as you can see right now, and the time penalty becomes greater than the amount you get from picking up stuff from the floor. It's not just the picking up stuff that's the stupid part. Here's another daily I did. This is what it looks like when you start to break the game. You get a certain combination of items that you can use to your advantage, and you spend a stupendous amount of time on the floor doing exactly that, just trying to get everything right so you can find those specific items. And when you do, you're on your way to just picking up stuff. Nobody likes this. Not one person who plays the game has actually said that this brings something to the table. Everybody hates it. The top players do it every day, and I cannot understand why, because I really couldn't do that myself. Not every day. No way. But this is the biggest problem the dailies have right now. This is something that needs to be removed. There either needs to be a set cap for the swag, say for 99 of each collectible, and that's it. Or it needs to be removed entirely. Personally, I'd go for either one of them. The player should not be awarded for simply knowing the game inside out, breaking it to bits, and then doing nothing but collecting stuff off the floor. There is no skill involved in any of that. So in conclusion, what is there to say? I think breaking is the biggest problem the daily challenges have right now. Anyone who knows the game mechanics and tries to get a good score will abuse these little bits, these little things, as much as they can every day. They are rewarded for basically knowing the game inside out. And I'm not saying these people aren't skilled in the game, because they absolutely are. The problem is, the playing field is not even in its current form. Some people may play through the daily without taking a single hit, and just because they don't bother to pick stuff up, they get a worse rank than someone who does. Every bonus type, every penalty type, all of them have their own problems. But if you remove the means of getting past the intended goal, if you capped the swag bonus, and if you removed Mama Mega from the item pool, you would discourage people from breaking the game and actually enjoying them instead. It would also make for a more balanced and more fair actual competitive daily system. As long as these things exist, the dailies will always be about breaking and will always be about finding a certain set of items, and there is no fun involved for anyone. At this point, a lot of people are probably asking, why do I care so much? Why don't I just enjoy the game for what it is and just ignore all this? And the thing is, I do. I still play the dailies, and for the most part, I ignore the breaking element. But it's something I want to bring up, because I was really stoked about the daily system when it came about. And if you were to revamp it just a little bit, fix a few things, it would be much more enjoyable for everybody involved. So I think it's just something that needs to be brought up, because I really like this game. And I'm not saying this for myself either. If you go read any daily thread on the Binding of Isaac subreddit, you're gonna find that if a daily includes breaking, people are gonna be pretty pissed about it. They indulge in it still, but nobody likes it. And if nobody likes it, then it probably is something you should look into as a game developer and do something about it. One final thing I want to address is quitting the game. Ever since Greedbot came along, it was a really good way of telling cheaters apart from players who legitimately got a good score. The site assigns a player a score, it shows your average score, it has a top 100 system. At some point, somebody figured out that if the game crashes, or if you Alt F4 out of the game while the daily is going on, you get a 0 score, which doesn't affect your overall standing. That means that if you can see that your score is not going to be in the top 10, for instance, you can just quit out of the game and not have it affect your overall score. People do this constantly. There are a bunch of people who do this all the time. If they think their score's going to suck, they're gonna quit out of the game and not have it affect their overall score. And by all means, do that if you want to. Personally, I don't see the point in inflating your score fraudulently, and frankly, I don't think it's any better than cheating. It's an artificial way of giving yourself a better average and nullifying any bad score that you may have gotten just because you played badly. I don't think there's actually any way to remove this other than to tell people to stop doing it, and they probably won't. And if you're one of those people, well, you can keep doing that. I don't really care. If you want to fraudulently give yourself a better score, you're free to do that. You're free not to say anything about it, or you can spin it any way you like, but at the end of the day, it's just cheating, or at the very least, it's dishonest. Whew, that's a long video. That is a long friggin' video. I never intended this to be this long. Oh man. Okay, well, since we're at the end, I want to take the opportunity to thank you for watching. And since we're done with the series, I'd like to end on something I haven't really done before. I watched a lot of YouTube LPs over the years, and I've taken some pointers. So, if you didn't like any of these videos, there's a dislike button right there, right next to the like button. You see it right there? You can press that to give me a thumbs down and make me feel like I wasted my life. Also, if for whatever reason you're actually a subscriber, you can press the subscribe button right here and it'll bring this up. You can press that and none of my upcoming videos will ever bother you again. And if you wish to send me money, I take traveler's checks and free coffee tickets. You can leave them in the hollow tree trunk at these coordinates. So just send them there and I'll be sure to pick them up at some point. Thank you for watching. Bye.